All right, everyone, welcome back into another props video. Going to be touching on my favorite prop bets this Tuesday in the NBA. Now, going to be covering more of my general favorite prop bets for traditional sportsbooks, as well as PrizePicks and Underdog. But as I'm recording this video, we are not getting that much sportsbook data coming in just yet to be able to gauge whether or not we're getting a big edge on PrizePicks or Underdog. But I will be covering that as well. So with that, guys, let's go ahead and jump into it. So I do want to start off with the underdog board that we have right now, and we're going to see that we are getting Donovan Mitchell for over his rebounds and assists of 8.5. We're getting Malcolm Brogdon for over his rebounds and assists of 8.5, and then Cade Cunningham for over his assists of 8.5 as well. Those are three bets that I'm pretty comfortable actually getting to as well. More specifically, Malcolm Brogdon and Cade Cunningham. Now I'm going to be going game by game here on this breakdown, so let's go ahead and start off with why I like Cade Cunningham here. So first and foremost, I think it's important to call out that he does get a pretty good matchup going against the Bucks here, who have struggled to stop opposing guards. A little bit of that is due to Damian Lillard spending a lot of his, obviously, attention offensively. And so with that, it creates a good matchup for opposing guards. And so Cade Cunningham is someone that we should be looking at. Now, I do want to call out that Cade Cunningham has been someone that had missed some time, so we don't know exactly how many minutes he's going to play for sure, but I would assume he's going to be good to go. And if he's going to be good to go, I like his likelihood of being able to get the over here in this game. He's someone that on the season averages 9 assists per game already. He is someone that this season has an 85% hit rate of getting his over assist of 8.5. We see the last game against the Bucks. Now, that game was a game that I believe went to OT. He had 11 assists in that game. In that game, the Bucks were without Lillard in that game, so tough to truly gauge kind of that matchup, but it is encouraging that he was able to get the over in that game there as well. Now, I do want to bring up Jaden Ivey as well. He is someone that does see his production drastically fall off actually with Cade Cunningham on the court. Obviously, that is something that makes sense, but I do want to call it Underdog, PrizePicks. Their lines so far are currently correct in terms of what we should be expecting, I think, from Jaden Ivey. And you could argue there actually might be a little bit too low. So per 36, he averages 18.4 points with Cade Cunningham on the court. And so maybe they're kind of shifting him down a little bit too much, given the fact that Cade Cunningham is going to be back. And again, this is a pretty good matchup for opposing guards. So the only way I would get to Cade Cunningham in any capacity would be if I'm trying to do a game stack, which I do think is something you could do. Maybe go Ivy for over his points, or even like rebounds and assists. Those are all a little bit too low. Averages about 4.5 rebounds per 36 with Cade on the court, and about 4 assists per 36 with Cade on the court. So, a decent bet there you could roll with there as well. And then another bet that I like in that game would be Giannis to get over 5.5 assists. We have seen recently that he has been simply dominating, for lack of a better phrase there. And a lot of that is due to players simply making shots. And with that, he has been able to get a few more assists. And again, we look at that last matchup with Detroit, had 7 assists in that game as well. Now, Lillard, again, I believe was out in that game. So don't need to be going too crazy with that narrative. And it was a game in which he ended up playing 44 minutes. So a little bit of a skewed data set there, but still encouraging that he was able to get that over in that game. And again, Bucks are just playing better recently. And with that, we have seen Giannis actually get the assist game going a little bit more, as everyone else has been playing a little bit better there as well. And then lastly in that game, I think it's worth calling out, you could potentially go with AJ Green actually get over 6.5 points. This is something that, like, earlier on in the season, he was not getting as many minutes as he currently is getting. And if you look at his last 10 games, he's been able to get this over in 7 out of the last 10 games. Now, Detroit has been pretty good about stopping opposing guards in terms of like having really good games. So it is a little bit of a tougher matchup. So maybe he potentially struggles, but a lot of what we are hoping for is him making 2 wide open threes and then maybe adding another bucket elsewhere. Most of his shot attempts are going to be coming from 3-ball range. And so if we're doing the over 6.5 points, I mean, maybe gets a free throw there, but we might as well just bet him over 1.5 threes made, because that's essentially the bet. But we're going to see here, guys, this is going to be an extremely reduced payout, so not necessarily going to be worth it there. All right, so let's jump back into the cheat sheet here. Now we're going to talk about Malcolm Brogdon, because Malcolm Brogdon is someone that I would argue is Washington's best player, regardless of Kyle Kuzma being on the court or not. And I bring that up because Kyle Kuzma is going to be out in this game as well. If you look at Brogdon's per 36 production with Kyle Kuzma off the court, he averages 22.7 points, 6.8 rebounds, 5.9 assists, 26% usage rate, and 40 fantasy points per 36. So really just in general, I'm going to like all the bets that we're probably going to get on Malcolm Brogdon. And simply because the one that's telling us to bet the over is going to be his rebounds and assists, I think we can roll with that. But really, I kind of like all the bets that we were getting for him, whether it be over 16.5 points, whether it be over his PRA, just in general, 25.5. I'm kind of okay with all of them. And the nice thing about it is, guys, the projection data is telling us to bet the over here as well. And so part of the reason as to why I like the over is simply because he got 30 minutes in the last game. So that per 36 production that I was talking about with Kyle Kuzma on the court, we should shave a little bit of that off. He's probably not going to get 36 minutes because he is someone that they do need to be cautious with minutes. He is someone that has had an injury history, so it's not likely that he'll get to 36 minutes, but I do think it is likely that he'll continue to play right around, let's say, 27 to 30 minutes. Another issue that we have here is going to be this matchup here with Cleveland. Definitely a more difficult matchup, and it's a game in which Washington is 15.5-point dogs currently, and so that could hurt Brogdon's minutes as well, but I think that presents a little bit of a stacking opportunity for us as well, even more so. And that's probably why we are getting this line to be a little bit too low, is the likelihood for this game to be a blowout. But if this game does end up staying close, we know the reason as to why it's going to be. It's going to be because Jordan Poole did not have a poor night shooting. And I have a very, very small sample size to call to you guys, but when Kyle Kuzma has been off the court with Malcolm Brogdon on the court, I believe this is literally just probably the last game. A very limited sample set going into this. Very small data set, like 32 minutes. Jordan Poole averages 36 points per 36, 3.5 rebounds, 4.6 assists, 37% usage rate. And that's the biggest thing I want to call it. That usage rate of 37% is massive, okay? He averages over his three-pointers made of 3.5 as well. I would say that goes hand in hand with him getting over 22.5 points there as well. Now, the issue with Jordan Poole is going to be the matchup, obviously. 24 minutes in the last game, or in the first game against Cleveland, only 14 points in that game. That's the only two times this is the only time that Jordan Poole has faced the Cleveland Cavaliers thus far this season. And again, the Cavs are 15.5-point favorites. So if you're betting on Poole as well as Brogdon, you are betting on this game staying close. Now, I am trying to go game by game right now, kind of giving you guys that breakdown by time. We're not getting any prop bets just yet for Philly and Charlotte. I'm a little bit shocked by that because I think we got the injury news that we would need to get out of this game, and Embiid's going to be out. And so we kind of know what to expect there from Philly. But what I want to concentrate on is Charlotte. Charlotte's going to be without LaMelo Ball. They could potentially be without Mark Williams. I don't really care for that in terms of like what I'm going to tell you guys here in a second. Trey Mann's out as well, which is pretty huge. And so you look at the production that Brandon Miller has had with really Ball off the court, but with Mann off the court as well. He has a 36% usage rate, okay? Averages 21.1 points, so only a slight amount more points, 6.3 rebounds, and 3.7 assists. So really not like anything massive. But this should be a solid matchup with Philly, and it should be a game that does end up staying pretty close. If we look at the last game against Philly, he was able to get 22 points in that game, 7 rebounds in that game, so both of them above his averages as well. And so I did want to call that because I think we could end up getting some decent edges. So basically, that's my way of saying if we get his rebounds line at 5.5 or his points line at, let's just say, even 21.5, I'd be fine betting the over there. Tighter margins, but I'd still be fine betting the overs there. Now, kind of moving on into the next game, we're going to be looking at that Orlando game. And Franz Wagner has been someone that has been playing extremely well with Banchero off the court. I'm sure you guys already are aware of this, but he has a 31% usage rate with him off the court and averaging about 26 points per 36. I also think it's worth calling out that he is averaging 6.2 rebounds and 7.1 assists. And so I'm looking at the lines that we are getting on both PrizePicks and Underdog. The bet that I like the most is one that is going to be a different payout. So it's not going to be popping up here on the cheat sheets because those typically aren't like long-term bets that we want to be targeting in terms of us being able to make a profit. But looking at specifically for PrizePicks and Underdog, but looking at it, guys, I do like his over 5.5 rebounds. Again, looking at his per 36 production, averages about 6.2. And he is someone that, if the game stays close, could end up getting around 38 minutes, which is what he got in his last game. In his last game, was able to get 9 rebounds, got 8 rebounds, and so he has been a little bit more productive. Not exactly a lock and load bet, but if we're going game by game, that is the one bet that really stood out to me in that New York versus Orlando game. And so, not saying it's a lock and load bet, but it is a bet that I did want to call it to you guys. All right, so staying with that Underdog board that we currently have here, guys, I don't really like too much there in the San Antonio versus Phoenix game. And that's more me personally, but I do want to call it just a couple of kind of lines that we were getting for CP3. One, The data likes his over PRA of 19.5 points, about a 52.5% likely for that data. If you guys look at the projection data as it sits right now, again, that might change by the time you guys are watching this. You know, if it's tomorrow, Tuesday at noon or something like that, this could be changed by that time, but around 23 for his PRA. And the thing with CP3 is his minutes have varied a lot. And one bet that I actually kind of like more so is going to be his points and rebounds. His line is at 11.5 there. He has a 90% hit rate on that bet over his last 10 games. And he's hit that around 81% of the season thus far. So not a terrible one there. I'm fine bringing up hit rate here for Chris Paul because, well, his role hasn't really changed, especially given the projected lineup for that game. There's not anyone in or out that really drastically should change CP3's role. And actually, guys, I messed up. One of my favorite bets is actually going to be Kevin Durant here to get over his rebounds here of 6.5. Now, it's going to be a slightly reduced payout, only a 0.9x type of bet here. But the big thing here is that Yusuf Nurk is going to be out in this game. And it might not be a big thing, like on paper, to see that and instantly think that, oh, I want to bet on Kevin Durant over rebounds. But it is a little bit of an increase there from his season average. And I already like the fact that we are getting a bet at 6.5 rebounds. That is a little bit lower than his season average. You tack on potentially 2 more rebounds with Yusuf Nurk off the court. That could be pretty massive. And so I'm perfectly fine betting on Kevin Durant to get over his rebounds there of 6.5. I think that's a decent bet that we are getting. And then one last bet that I think is worth calling out would potentially be looking at Norman Powell to get over his points or PRA. It doesn't really matter to me. And that's simply going to be because Kevin Porter is going to be out in this game. Now, we do need him to get solid minutes, but we are going to see that he is someone that could see his line rise throughout the day. I think potentially to 21.5 points. And so not like a massive edge there, but I think it's sizable enough. And it's a good matchup there against Portland. I can get behind that as a decent bet that we would want to be looking at. And then before we get into my bet of the day here, guys, I do want to call it that Jalen Suggs line is currently off by 1. Not a massive edge, but it is the biggest edge that we have in terms of prize picks or underdog where their lines are off by 1. And so the line should probably be at 22.25 here for Jalen Suggs. So if you guys want to bet that over, you can. I'm kind of indifferent about that, but I did want to call that out to you guys. All right, guys, so this isn't my official bet of the day. I'll show you guys that in just a second. It's going to be a 5-slip bet, but I do want to go over some of these bets as well because I do like them. So Jordan Poole, the only way I'm getting there here would be if I want to include him with Malcolm Brogdon for over his PRA of 25.5. I already called out that we were getting a slightly better edge there with his rebounds and assists for Malcolm Brogdon, so we're probably going to do that. But that's the only way I'd be using Poole is if we are also including him with a Brogdon bet. From there, I did realize I forgot to mention Toronto here. So let's just cover that real quick. So Scotty Barnes is back. He's been playing extremely well since he's been back. This is a pretty good matchup for him as well. I think he'll be able to get that over and continue to play well there for him as well. Look at Jakob Poeltl. He did go off in this matchup against the Pacers last time. I think it was 30 points, 12 rebounds, just an insane amount. He is someone that I do expect that to continue as well. But again, I kind of like pairing those two together. The payout won't be adjusted too much. It doesn't matter. It's kind of the nice thing about NBA is that the payouts aren't adjusted, even though we're kind of just betting on that game being a good and close game for us. From there, I do like Franz Wagner to get over his rebounds there. Again, you look at his per 36 production averages about 6.2 rebounds per 36, and I think there's just a good chance he's able to get to 6 rebounds in that game. Cade Cunningham, we have seen him consistently crush this over, has an 85% hit rate on the season, and that's one of the best bets that we currently have, about a 53% likelihood for him to get that over. We have seen Giannis continue to play well, and I think that'll continue against Detroit here as well. And then Kevin Durant, again, with Yusuf Nurk off the court, he does average about 8 rebounds per 36. But before we get into my 5 favorite bets here for the bet of the day, do just remind you guys of the promo code that's currently going on the 9 to 5 website. Use the promo code KeepCashing to get 20% off your first 9 to 5 membership, or if you guys are a returning member, get the first month off for 20% off. It is $10 a month, so get the first month for $8. That'll give you guys access to all the tools that you saw in this video, the PrizePicks and Underdog cheat sheets that you can sort by sport. As you guys can see, doing this video at night, so not as many great bets available, but it's going to be updating throughout the day. We got a lot of games going on tomorrow. Should be a day in which plenty of great bets for PrizePicks and Underdog. Now, again, guys, this isn't necessarily an underdog bet here or like a PrizePicks bet if you guys want to do that. These are more just my 5 favorite bets on the day for tomorrow. And the reason I want to come out with this a little bit earlier is so that we could potentially gain some edges on some bets that could actually be bumped up by tomorrow. But that's going to do it for this video, guys. Make sure to give a like and subscribe to the channel. Comment your guys' favorite prop bet once you have one, or if you guys have one. If you guys disagree with one of the takes, that's fine. Perfectly happy with some constructive criticism as long as it's in the good idea of, helping everyone out be beneficial. Again, if you guys want access to any of the tools, head on over to 95sports.com, get access to those for just $10 a month. But when you use the promo code KeepCashing, get the first month for 20% off. All right, thanks for watching, guys. Good luck with all your bets tomorrow. And as always, let's keep cashing.